I'm Lynn. I'm 59 years old, and I've been teaching college for about 13 years. Before that, I spent about 20 years in public office, the last 8 in the United States House of Representatives. I'm here today because I'm crazy. It's true. I've had a lot of accomplishments, but I'm crazy. I have a BA from the University of Michigan. I have a JD from Wayne State University, but I'm crazy, and I mean that really. I've been suffering from manic-depressive disease since I was a teenager. And now I'm going to talk about this very private thing in this very public forum. And this is not the first time that I have done this. I've spoken out often. When I was in Congress, I talked openly about my struggle with mental illness. Now, that raised a lot of eyebrows. Even the New York Times took note. Frank Rich did a column on my courage as being the first member to come out as suffering with mental illness, the first to embrace their crazy, so to speak. So I speak out. I make myself vulnerable to the views and the judgments of others. Why would I do that? Because I have a hell of a story to tell you. It's a story of defiance. It's a story of resiliency. It's a story of hope. First, the defiance. When I speak, I want to put my finger in the eye of stigma and ignorance. I want to draw a stake right through the heart of this idea that nice people don't go crazy. By the way, does that word crazy bother you? Does it make you uncomfortable? Don't. Okay, I use it for me. I don't use it for other people. It's sort of like the way that young people today, LGBT people, use the word queer. It's sort of like, hit me with your best shot. I accept, I embrace your pejorative. I'll wear it on my sleeve. I also use the term manic-depressive. Old school. But I kind of feel like people understand what manic-depressive means. Bipolar, not always so much. Now, I also said that this is a story about hope. And my brain is a little different than others, but different doesn't mean defective. It doesn't mean diminished. I'm not somehow less than or damaged goods. Crazy is not about character. Crazy is about chemistry, brain chemicals. I speak plainly because I want people to look crazy in the face and reconsider what they think they know about mental illness, what they think they know about the people who have mental illness. So I'm like you. I'm accomplished, I'm smart, I'm verbal. Well, there is that crazy part. So how does it feel to be mentally ill? Well, since my crazy comes in multiple flavors, we have to think about them separately. Let's start with depression. When I'm depressed, I can feel my brain. It takes up a position. It commands the field. And I can feel it in some strange way. Not that I can feel it, but I can feel that it's there. I feel lots of things when I'm depressed. But the most of the time, the thing I feel is nothing. Absolutely nothing. When you're depressed, you're not just a little sad. You're not down. You're not a little blue. When you are depressed, you feel dead, empty, lifeless. Now, over the years, I went through some very deep depressions, some of them lasting more than a year. And during that time, I was immobile. I could barely get out of bed. Sometimes I would sleep 18 or 20 hours a day. Life was just too hard. It was too much. It was too much to brush my teeth, to comb my hair, to make a meal, to take care of my kids, and they were little. It was just too hard. Dick Cavett said once, if the pill to cure depression was just across the room, it would be too far to go. And that's absolutely true. Now, I also suffer from anxiety. Sometimes sudden, intense panic attacks, sometimes just, sort of a little low-lying cloud of dread. I've gone through bouts of agoraphobia where I wouldn't answer the phone, I wouldn't answer the door, I wouldn't go out unless I absolutely had to. And if I absolutely had to, I sort of hid in plain sight. I made myself smaller, invisible. I folded up on myself. I was disengaged, unkempt, and afraid of everything. And through all of this, there is this cascade of self-condemnation, humiliation, accusations. It never stops. It's like there's this sort of grainy, pitted newsreel going on in my head, and it plays everything I've ever done wrong, every mistake, every sin, and it just keeps looping through. And then, of course, there is the aloneness, this profound sense of brokenness, worthlessness, and separateness. Depression is a private disease. But then, one day, things will change. The sun will come out, the birds will sing. It's the sweet spot. Now, the sweet spot is beautiful, it's sublime, it's a time of restoration. Okay. The car moves into gear, you can finally drive it, life begins again. All is well. It's a time of hope. Now, for me, the sweet spot was very much a time of transformation, not just transforming my brain after a depressive episode, but even physical transformation. I can remember one time after a particularly deep depression, I was driving in the Irish Hills, and suddenly the landscape colors began to change. Everything became brighter, more intense, technicolor. Now, I don't mean that metaphorically, I mean that literally. It was like someone had turned the dial up and color had rushed back into my life. After another episode, I found to my amazement that my taste had changed. Foods that I had disliked, even boycotted in the past, were suddenly desirable. They were delicious. I drank coffee for the first time in my life. I can't put it away nowadays, but it was very strange. It was a change that had happened within me in sort of the caldera of this terrible depression. The sweet spot is lovely, unless it's not exactly a sweet spot. Sometimes it's the eye of the storm. It's the calm before the hurricane. Because sometimes there's up. And up can be very difficult. Now, the way up, the path up, oh, that is exciting. That is wonderful. You feel strong. You feel empowered. Tasks are done easily. Words come easily. The brain hands out its blessings without any effort. Writing becomes much easier. As a matter of fact, I once wrote an exam essay on Dante, and I wrote it in terza rima, the three-lined verse that Dante wrote the Inferno. I don't know where that came from, but it was pretty exciting when it happened. So a little up is great. You can clean your house in 90 minutes. You can do well in school. I mean, there are all kinds of lovely things that come with a little up. But way up, that's a whole nother thing. And what happens is the world begins to accelerate. Everything begins to move faster and faster and faster. The floor starts to move. There's no place to grab a hold. Emotions are intensified. You cry, you rage. Everything goes faster and faster and faster, rush, 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 and then suddenly I'm in this big wave, and I'm tumbling, and I'm gasping, and I'm drowning, and then it's over. Except it's never really over, because after every storm, there's wreckage. There's debris to clean up. There is that horrifying sense of humiliation, that hot, sweaty flush that goes deep into your stomach, the humiliation that causes your whole body to react. You have to take stock. Oh my God, did I really say that? Oh my God, did I really do that? Did I leave all of these promises unmet? Did I really plan these things so grandiose that I wouldn't even repeat them here? Yes, I did all that. Up, not always pleasant. So today, I'm in much better shape. Yes, manic depression doesn't always play fair. Crazy's pretty invidious. Crazy whispers in your ear. It tells you that you can't trust you. It tells you that you can't trust yourself. It hijacks your sense of personhood. It steals your you. And when you can't trust yourself, there's no safe place. In the throes of manic depression, I feel like the offense, the defense, and the football. Now, I take medication nowadays. I have for a very long time, different drugs, different dosages, and I've gotten a lot of relief. But frankly, medication steals your you too. In the beginning, I felt like it had robbed me of my essence. I felt flat. I lost my words. I lost my mental sharpness. It felt like myself had been hijacked in some way. Nowadays, well, I take my meds every day. I don't even think about it. I just sort of toss back a handful of pills. It seems to work. Now, Winston Churchill, another depressive, he once said, when you're going through hell, keep going. And that's what I did. I kept going. And one day, I came through to the other side. Alchemy had somehow turned that noxious brew of antidepressants and mood stabilizers and anti-anxiety medication into gold, into an acquiescent brain, a mind brought to heal. God said to the Israelites after the plagues, and I will restore to you all of the years that the locusts have eaten. And that's how it felt. I felt renewed, reborn, restored in some way to what I had once been. And I found myself like a balloon, a hot air balloon whose ropes had been cut. I began to rise. Doors opened, and I joyfully went through them. My relationship with my brain today, it's pretty good. Sometimes we have a love affair. Sometimes there's suspicious cohabitation. I sort of pay attention. I put my finger in the air. I sniff. I watch my moods. But generally, I live my life in confidence. It's kind of like this story I heard. A man is sound asleep in his bed, and he's awakened by snarling and growling and claws on the wall next to him. And he's terrified, but he's got to know what's going on. So he gets up. As he goes out into the hall, the growling, the snarling is louder. There's a stench hanging in the air. And his heart is pounding. He's terrified. But he pushes himself forward, and he steps into the next room, and there sits Satan. Horns, cloven hooves, red eyes, blood dripping from his mouth. And the man is stunned. And then he says, "Oh, it's only you." That's how I treat my illness today. Am I cured? No. I'm not cured. Contained, probably. We manic-depressives, we sort of age out. We're like criminals. We get less dangerous as we grow older. So for me, the greater likelihood if crazy returns is that I'm going to have a depression. I rarely spiral up like I used to, though I will cop to the fact that when I have a yard sale, I go absolutely apeshit. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Okay. Now, over the last decade or so, I've had a couple of episodes, mostly depression, and it's caused me some problems. A little trouble at work, some performance, some attendance problems. I've blown a few speeches, a couple of them because I was too depressed to prepare, maybe one where I was just a little up and forgot that I needed to prepare. But in general, a few episodes over more than a decade, I'll take that. So my life has been a wild ride, up, down, success, failure, achievement, accomplishment, and then deep despair and joy. I hope my story helps you or leads you to reevaluate what you know about mental illness and people who are mentally ill. I also hope it makes you think about brokenness. It makes you think about resiliency. It makes you think about second chances. Look at me. I never stopped starting over. Never. I kept fighting. Year after year, year after year. I never let go of me. Oscar Wilde said, always be yourself. Everybody else is taken. Absolutely true. So I never stopped being myself. I never stopped holding on to who I was. Now, in this life, we all have to take the cards we're dealt. And then we all have to play the hand we're given. Now, in my case, my cards held manic-depressive disease. Your cards, they'll hold something else. Mental illness is my struggle. Your struggle is something different. I don't know what it is, but I know you have it. Why do I know? Because we're all human beings. We're all wounded. We all have our weaknesses. We all have our pain. All of us have to confront our own personal demons, our own secret terrors, our own private dragons that we have to slay. And yet we all want to have a good life in spite of all of these things. We want success. We want happiness. So go after it. Go after it. Live your life that way. Press on. Start over. Learn from your pain. Accept who you are. Accept your brokenness. Embrace your brokenness. And then be the very best broken person you can be. Because to do anything else, well, that would just be crazy.